Asking for feedback, it all boils down to you want something from them, right? Whether it's their time, whether it's their testimonial. And I think that all stems from building good relationship with your customer. And what I mean by that is
getting feedback is obviously just super key. And I think it's easy to just think that you know what the feedback should be because you're just like, I'd use this product, and like conflating the user experiences for your own experience. But I think like,
don't look at competitors as competition, look at them as collaborators. They're also helping you validate the market.
We are back with another episode of the Do As I Say, Not As I Did podcast, where we answer real and often insane questions from Reddit about growing your startup. And today we're joined by Yuvan Sundrani, an innovative entrepreneur and product leader shaping the future of mobile app testing. Yuvan is the co-founder of Autosana, the AI-powered QA agent revolutionizing mobile app quality assurance. There's tons I could say about Yuvan's business. It's really awesome. What I particularly love about Yuvan is Yuvan has just fucking insane hustle. So I just have a calendar link out there on the internet. Yuvan found it. Instead, I wasn't responding to his cold emails. Yuvan found it. He booked time on my calendar, and my calendar is my leader. It's my boss. So I just rocked up, and Yuvan's on this call. Tons of hustle. He's this custom fucking demo I made for you. He showed me the whole thing. He'd already spoken to the people in my team that would make the buying decision, and I was just like, this guy is fucking awesome. So that experience just stood out to me so much as like what a quality founder-led sale that I was just like, I've got to have Yuvan on the podcast. So before we even went into anything to do with the Autosana, which is a fucking cool product, I was just like, let's get this guy on the pod. So I met you like a couple days ago, and now we're recording straight away. Then on top of that, I met Yuvan like 2 or 3 days ago. And today, just jumping onto the call, he's like, I'm riding high, man. I just got into YC. So it's like, if you want to see a fucking episode that's going to show someone just shoot into the stratosphere, Yuvan is the guy. This is Yuvan before Yuvan gets big, and it's about to happen, right? We've got Yuvan right at that inflection point. So, mate, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm psyched to have you here.
Dude, I appreciate it so much. And thanks, Joel. Like for, I was hustling my way to go to like getting to talk to you. And I'm glad we hopped on that call. I'm glad you hopped on that call. And, glad to be here. Happy to answer any questions.
Awesome, man. So I've been doing this in my last few pods, and I'm absolutely loving it. So it's this new segment or game. I don't know how to really describe it, but essentially I'm just going to read out 10 words and phrases and names and stuff. And I just want you to give me like, what's your immediate reaction? Just like 1 or 2 words. Like I don't want you to elaborate. I just want to see like, what's the vibe that immediately comes to you? You good to go?
Okay. Yeah. Right. So sorry, you say it's one word or one thing, and then I say this first 2 things come to my mind.
Exactly.
All right.
Production versus perfection.
Production.
User rage.
Good.
All right.
I say good because it shows that people care about your product.
Yeah. All right. Good enough.
Not cutting it.
Real user problems.
Agreed. Like, yes, comma, agreed. Real user problems.
Right. Failure.
Stepping stone.
100x engineer.
Question mark / like overestimating.
Yeah, I agree. OpenAI dependency.
Times of the now and times of the future. Like, do you want me to go into that?
No. I thought there might have been another word coming out there. It looked like you're really thinking deep about that.
Yeah.
Shipping angry.
Questionable and curious on why you're so angry shipping, or why anyone would be very angry shipping.
Dark mode.
Great. Phenomenal.
And Tony Fadell.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know Tony.
You got to get on Tony Fadell. Tony Fadell wrote my favorite book. It's called Build. He's like led the development of the iPod and the iPhone for Apple. Then he created Nest. He's the fucking man. Trying to get him on this pod. He said no a few times. We'll get him. You'll get him. Man, yeah. Man.
Calling
man,
me
thank
out.
you.
That's cool. That's
fun.
That was fun.
All right. Well, let's jump into the real challenges today. So, first one. How do you get feedback from your users? I'm building my own SaaS, and a few people are already using it, but getting feedback from them can be challenging at times. Do you have any effective strategies for asking for feedback? from Happy TR 115.
Hmm. Okay. So asking for feedback, it all boils down to you want something from them, right? Whether it's their time, whether it's their testimonial, you know? And I think that all stems from building a good relationship with your customer. And what I mean by that is they may be using your product, but I'm curious about how this user went about. Did they reach out to the person to be like, hey, I'd love your feedback on this? Or was it like an inbound that kind of like self-served themselves onto the platform so they actually don't know the founder at all? Or so that definitely plays a role. But I would say making a customer feel very good will increase your chances on getting that feedback. And I'm not too sure if this company that you mentioned is B2B, as in like they have to sell to the literal business, or if it's like a consumer platform. But if it's B2B, then it's like that's the whole idea of founder led sales, kind of just hopping on these calls, getting to know the person who's experiencing the problem that you're here to solve. And then being candid with them, being like, hey, I'd love your feedback. You know, any feedback goes a long way. And prioritize in early stage that I'm currently still doing feedback over money, because you want to create a sticky product. That should be the goal.
Yeah. I mean, getting feedback is obviously just super key. And I think it's easy to just think that you know what the feedback should be because you're just like, I'd use this product, and like conflating the user experiences for your own experience. But I think like my just main advice for this would be to just read this book called The Mum Test. Like The Mum Test is the most fucking insane book on product feedback ever. And I've read it a few times and I just reread it. And every time I read it, it just makes me feel dumb because I'm just like, I know this shit now. Why am I not doing this correctly? So the Mum Test just breaks down for you really effectively how to get feedback. And he also he really breaks down that it can be a lot more casual than you think. So you don't need to make it into this big thing of like I'm going to go and it's going to be a big feedback session and all that kind of stuff. So the way I would approach it, kind of like what you're talking about, UV, is like I approach it like a relationship. So I'd be like, hey UV, like, man, I've been seeing you on the platform. Like, I'm Joel, I'm the CEO. Like, I'd love to catch up. I'd love to learn a little bit more about you. Then I wouldn't even necessarily ask about like, what do you think of this button? I'd be like, tell me, what are your biggest problems? How are you solving them? How are you using the platform? And like just ask those more kind of like generic questions about their day and their experiences and stuff like that, and just see what naturally comes out. If any frustrations
Mm,
come out or happiness or joy comes out and stuff like that. So I would say read that book, make it like relational for sure. And I just say never ask specifically, I don't know, however possible, don't ask
yeah,
specifically about like, what do you think of this thing? Would you buy that? Like that's such a fucking dumb way to ask for feedback.
I completely agree with that. I would say you need to hear them and what they want to say. So going back to the point that, or going back to the example that Joel said, he said, don't hop on this call. Let's say this customer agrees to hop on a call with you to give it their feedback. Do not hop on sharing your screen saying, what do you think about the shade of this button? What do you think about this tagline? Does this draw your attention? Let Ask them a simple question saying, hey, what do you like about the product? Is there anything I can do to make it better for you to use? I think it's that will go a long way, and they'll go into it. They'll just start rambling. I kind of didn't like the export feature, but I feel like there should be a dark mode. Like just hear what they have to say and see if that aligns with what you're actually building currently. Um,
I'd
Everything
also
should
say
be,
like
yeah, customer
when you
led.
get on there, ask them to do something in the platform. So hey, like you've got the platform, show me how you would do X, show me how you do QA, and like see what they do and see where they struggle or see how they use the platform, because they might just use the platform in a completely different way. That's like, it's always so cringe whenever we do that, and I'm just like, oh, why does that look so hard, right? Like, and you see where the real struggles kind of come out of this. I always find that's like a mega effective way to do it as well.
Yeah, and you'd be completely surprised. Being in the product, building the product so much, you are get extremely biased in your head. Like, okay, this is how people are going to use it. You'd be surprised how many times like that is not the way people use it. Um, so just monitoring sessions and kind of understanding how your users use your platform is huge.
All right, well, I feel like we're kind of like aligned here, right? So let me try and summarize this one up. So for Happy TR, how do you get real feedback from your users? First one is just turn the pod off and go and listen to or read the Mum Test, because you know that guy's just so much smarter than you and I. He's just the best, right? He's become an expert at this over years and years, and he's just crafted down to such simple messaging. But if we step underneath that, the kind of key topics here are, don't ever make it about feedback, make it about relationships, and make it about trust, and make it about the people that you're speaking to. So spend time actually getting to know them, understanding their pain points and how they operate in their world. uh, make it casual, right? Like ask them much more casual conversations. You don't need to have a whole 1 hour conversation with someone. You could just meet someone out who's a, if they're a user of your platform, and ask them more casual problems like, what do you focus on this week? What where are you spending your time? You can get like little bits of feedback that way. Then if you do actually get the time to have a 1 hour conversation or a 30-minute conversation with someone, always, like, I guess, always make it about them actually using the product or actually understanding how they do their work, and see how they use your product in that. Never ask them specific questions like, would you pay for this? Or what do you think of this button? Or do you like this? Like, that should just get you the worst possible answers of all time. Anything major I missed there, UV?
No, I completely agree. Um, yeah.
All right. Well, happy to hear you've been advised, and we'll keep on going. So, next one. And I was super psyched to ask you this one because I feel like I was really impressed with your approach, into Autosana. So, do you validate your ideas before building? Tyler says it all. I'm curious if most people actually validate before building. If so, how do you do it? This is from G Boost Labs.
Thank you, G Boost Labs. Well, that's a question that I feel like everyone who's early and starting off feels, and I've been there. It's a must. It's not like you have to. It's like you need to, or you should. Like you need to validate your market first, or you need to validate that what you're building is actually going to help people and or solve a problem. And this is exactly kind of why I started Autosana. I've been a part of 4 startups now, and one that I've started, and it was basically a contact sharing app where essentially you just tap the back of my phone and you get all my contact information. In theory, that sounds great, right? You get my Instagram, Snapchat, phone number, whatever I want to share, I can share with you with the tap of my phone. In theory, it sounds great. And we made this for the college, the social scene, but in reality, we built it out great. We got a bunch of users, but no one used it. No one came back. It was a dead product because people were completely content with sharing just their Snapchat or sharing just their Instagram. This wasn't a problem we were solving. So, what I'm saying is like a lot of ideas can, in theory, sound so good and like, oh my God, this would be so good to have. But you have to validate that people will actually pay for something. And to do that, um, what you can do is just talk to potential customers. And I know that everyone says that. I know that this is such a broad thing. Like, what do you mean talk to customers? Like, I'm saying go to your like close network or your LinkedIn or whoever you build relations with and ask them genuinely, like, would you use a product like this? Don't sugarcoat it. You have to realize that you have to see through all the bullshit. Like, people will tell you, oh my God, it's such a good product. Yeah, I'm going to use this. Okay. Um, Sign an LOI right now. Like, pay me $5 right now if you're going to use it. Like, I'm saying you need to get verbal confirmation is only one thing, but you need to make sure that you're reading people correctly to be like, okay, this is something they'll actually use. And you have to get several of those before you should start building. But the best way to validate something is to understand if you're experiencing this problem firsthand. With Autosana, that's kind of what we've been. We've been in the mobile app space for 5 years, and both me and my co-founder, and we realized the whole manual QA process is terrible. There's got to be a way to automate this, especially with the like new VLMs and how good VLMs are in today's day and age. And so we're scratching an itch of our own. And then the more customers we talk to, the more we realize that shit, we're not the only people in this boat. So, yes, do not build anything before you validate your market. And I'm not saying fully validate. I'm saying get like 5 or 10 people who are like, shit, yeah, I would actually use that. Or get like verbal confirmation, LOIs. Like, yeah, it's, you got to validate it because I've been there and it sucks to build a product that no one uses.
How, you started by saying, like, we had the problem, so it's first hand experience. So, you kind of got a bit of validation. How did you then like tactically validate beyond yourself?
Mm-hmm. So I would, you would be surprised about how open people are to talking about certain problems they have. So what I did, both me and my co-founder, we were part of this kind of startup incubator at our college called Startup Shell at University of Maryland, and we just would go around and to other friends of ours or other builders that were building apps, and we're like, how do you guys like kind of do your mobile QA? Like, do you guys write integration tests? Do you guys write your end to end tests? Do you maintain them? And they're like, we kind of just do it manually at this stage. Like, forget about it. Like, we don't really prioritize it as much. So then we started going up to like more serious companies, and we started hitting them on LinkedIn, being like, hey, like we're just wondering, how do you guys go about this? And a lot of them say manual, a lot of them say it's a pain in the ass. And so I'm saying it's just a numbers game in terms of talking to people. You can't be scared to talk to people. You have to, if you want to build something for people. So that's the next step.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like just having the idea in your head that it's a volume game is almost always the right thing, right? Like in business, everything just comes down to how much volume are you willing to put into this, and eventually you have enough of the kind of same quality conversations. I think like I would probably approach it slightly differently to you. Like I wouldn't say, do you have this problem? And that's just because I've just again reread the mum test, and the mum test talks about this just so perfectly. And I would just go to all the people that I think are my ICP. So I'd be like, cool, I've got an idea, it's specifically, I think founders and CEOs of seed plus companies would use this. So then I would just reach out to as many as I can, and I try and have as many conversations as I can. Be like, hey, I'm trying to learn about X in your space. As many people that would have conversations with you, I'd be like, hey, can you tell me like what are your biggest pain points? Like how are you spending like time doing those? How do you solve those pain points? And I would just try and ask out of those 5 or 10 or 15 conversations, are the same patterns coming up? Is QA coming up, right? Ask like in product builder, in your product team, you know, where are you spending time? Like, what's a bit of a headache? If they keep saying QA, I'd be like, well, that's interesting, right? Or if no one says QA, I'd be like, okay, people actually probably don't really care about this, because I would just never want to put words in their mouth that QA is important for them. But if they all start saying like fucking task management, I'd be like, well, that's kind of interesting. Everyone said task management. Like, is that a path I would go down as well? So I would just always, in early validation, I'd just find the people I think have the problem that I believe in, that I have most likely, and then I just ask them what their problems are and see if they're saying the problem that I'm talking about. Then that would give me enough validation to just go a little bit further, build a little bit more, build a little bit
Keep it,
more.
yeah, keep it a bit open ended. I actually think that would be a better way to approach this. Like, and then you can analyze patterns. Yeah, if you haven't built anything, what's there to lose here? Like, you just say, what are your problems? And they give you a list of five. And as Joel said, it's task management. And you're like, oh, maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. Maybe it's not QA. Maybe it's task management. And then you can go off that. So, yeah, the way I explained it kind of backed myself in a corner there in terms of like saying, oh, is it QA or not? But he's saying, what are your problems? And if it is QA, that's good to know. So,
Did
yeah,
you get
no, I think
any
it's a great
LOI
point.
signed? Because you mentioned, try and get an LOI signed. Did you get any before you built?
We got not literal LOIs, but it was good friends of people who are building apps that are like, yes, like their verbal confirmation, their verbal kind of agreement. Um, like I knew I could trust that. They were like,
Yeah.
yes, we need this, and I'm going to pay you once you build this out, and I'll be your design partner. So we didn't literally get the LOIs signed because these were people that we knew.
Yeah, I guess maybe there's like a balancing act here as well, right? Which is
Yeah.
like you need to have enough validation that gives you the confidence to go further. But sometimes founders
Mm-hmm.
get so bored into their own vision that they'll take anything as validation. So you kind of need to
Mm.
like, find that line for you, which is like challenging yourself, trying to disprove your
Yeah.
idea enough to take that next step that there is
Yeah.
something here, but you don't need to go so hardcore and do what, the ultimate fucking A+ standard for what validation is in general. Like you need to find what
Yeah.
makes sense for you.
And also, one way to kind of, well, to give you that confidence, this could go both ways, is seeing your competition out there, seeing how they're doing. Have they already validated the market? Are they already a kind of huge like player in this field? And that's essentially like, people look at competition as like, competition, like we should be not scared of them, but like, we should try to take them over. But there's one person who posted this. Well, I don't know who it was, but don't look at competition as, or don't look at competitors as competition. Look at them as collaborators. Like, they're also helping you validate the market. So, if you like, that's a silver lining in having more competitors. But I do agree that, there's less market share then. But that also, what we did was we talked to companies who tried to do this in the past. So they tried to do
That's
the whole
awesome.
automated. Yeah, we talked. My co-founder did a lot of deep research and deep digging into who tried this in the past and why is it coming back now? Like why there are only a few companies doing it now. And there was a company that was doing it called Camel QA, and my co-founder reached out to them and said, "Hey, you guys are doing something different, but I saw your YC kind of video like from 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, and you guys were doing something similar. Why'd you guys stop?" They said, "We got like the pilots that I know one company. I'm not sure if it was Camel QA, but they had insane pilots with insane customers, like these five huge enterprise customers like Snapchat and Expedia and things like that, and they literally were just getting pulled in all directions that they all just burnt out and said like we don't want to do this anymore." So we were like, whoa, okay, so these are problems from big players in the game like Snapchat, Expedia, whatever, but it's just a matter of like they couldn't execute this, which is totally fine. Like I understand burnout and I totally sympathize with them for that. Like that sucks. But now with how great I guess LLMs have gotten, this gave us an advantage starting now. So that also gave us like, wow, okay, the demand was more so than the support or the supply, whatever. There's more demand than supply in this case. But so that was talking to previous companies who have maybe pivoted from your idea to something else. Why'd you pivot? And they have a lot of insight because they've done that research when they were starting it. So that
That
was
is a
really cool to
fucking
hear.
awesome way to do it, man. I've actually never thought of that before. I love that.
I
That's
think
such a good way to validate.
I have to give definitely props to my co-founder Jason for doing that. He was digging and digging deep to find that, and he found it on some YouTube reaction video that actually got taken down, but it was up on list something crazy. And he was like, "Whoa, they're doing something that we're trying to do now. Why did they stop?" And he got a lot of great insight from them.
Man, good shit. All right. Well, G-Boost Labs, do you validate your idea before building? Absolutely. Yes, you have to. If you want to just like waste money and time, you don't have to. But if you want to be efficient, if you want to build something that people truly want, you're going to have to validate. I wouldn't think about the fact that you have to validate like every step in the journey, but you need to validate enough to take a few more steps and then validate again to take
Yeah,
a few more steps. You just need to keep validating to move forward and validate and move forward continually. And there's a bunch of ways you can do this, but real conversations with the people that you think you're going to serve, understand their problems, understand how they're solving them now, and see if they really are problems for people. And then, if they are, see if someone will sign LOIs with you, or you got people that are committing to paying, or if you're fucking extra big brain, copy the UV approach and the Autosana approach, and find people that have tried to do it in the past before. And just because they've shut down doesn't mean that was because it's a bad idea. There might have been a technical innovation that's changed since then, or they just might have wanted to give up, right? And find that as a path. So yeah, I can. That's a great answer. But is there anything I'm missing there, UV?
no, I think that's great. It all boils down to just talking to people, like just form connections. And one thing that like this kind of off topic, but on this kind of same topic of like talking to people, my parents taught me this: never not talk to someone. You never know how they may not even help you, but how you may help them in the future. Like one thing, what goes around comes around, but it's crazy how like conversations I've had with people years ago have recently surfaced and have actually been great help and benefited me a lot. So I'm saying don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't ever think that a conversation is not worth your time. That's like the biggest thing.
Yeah, I I totally agree with that. I'm all in on relationships. Like I always just feel like the biggest opportunities in your life end up coming from the people you know and from the
Oh
network
yeah.
that you have. You don't know what they are, right? But like eventually, like every major opportunity I've ever had has just come from my network. It's not like
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
always
that's
worth it. Like and just always see where you can add value because you don't know what's going to come back in the future.
agreed. Yeah, like always try to help.
Yeah, always try to help. I love that. All right. And we've got time for one more question. So this is called How do I find people interested in what I'm making? I believe there's a gold mine in the form of people that use LLMs as emotional support, therapy bots, or even just people to chat to. There are plenty of communities out there that are open about how much they treat ChatGPT as a friend. I'm trying to make an app for people like them. I want to talk with these people and find out what they want, how I can build something that works specifically for them. How can I approach them and get them talking about these things? This is from Fit Level 4179. Now, I don't care so much about that specific idea, right? But it is an interesting question that a lot of people when they're starting out, they don't know how to find they've got this idea like, I think there are these kinds of people. How do you go and find them? So I'm interested, where would you start, Yuvi, right? If there's a brand new idea, you don't necessarily
Yeah.
know someone, but how would you get into the pockets of those people?
I mean, you're on the platform right now, Reddit. Like Reddit has people talking their mind. Like they're like very. I've noticed that I haven't been a Reddit user for long. It's only been maybe like a little less than a year, but people are willing to say their opinions when they're very opinionated. Like people are willing to talk about what they want to talk about if it's something that means like hits close to home for them. So for this idea, like I'm just gonna take it as example. Like see those people that are on Reddit, and there you go. Like people, that dude who talks to his ChatGPT as his friend, DM him, being like, hey, like I would really appreciate like 5 minutes of your time. I'm trying to build something that, because you already know he's interested in that. You already know that that's what he does. That's a great person. You can just literally hit up through Reddit, and like I would be surprised if someone posted something like that on Reddit saying, hey, I talked to GPT as my friend, and I reached out saying, hey, I'm trying to build a fully kind of I'm trying to build a software for you to essentially do that in a more efficient way, or however you want to phrase it. Do you mind if I just ask you a few questions? I'll be very surprised if they say no, especially because that's just right up their alley. So Reddit is huge to just monitor what people are saying and seeing how big of a demand it is there.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like, just reach out to people is the my underlying approach here. Like, find the person, reach out to them. But how do you specifically find them? I guess the way I would go about it is I would try and like draw out a little bit more detail about who is my ideal person. And if all the information I know is that like it's these people and they're like they're super pro like forming emotional connections with ChatGPT, like then Reddit probably is the space for that. Like you said, you like Reddit probably has people speaking their mind a little bit more. Where Reddit you'll find people based on interest and interaction over like role title. So that's one place I would search for. I'd search for the different subreddits that are just really honed in on that kind of behavior and that kind of activity. Then I'll just try and add a fuck ton of value in there, right? Like everyone that's like doing posts, like comment on it, ask questions, like make little anecdotes, like share your own experiences in this as well, and be an engaging part of the community. And then just DM after DM after DM, and not everyone's going to respond to you. But when you get really targeted, like this is the group of people, and you write a really custom message, you'll get pretty high response rates. But just assume you'll get 5% best case. You could probably go much higher, but just assume that. And then, for every 20 messages you send, you'll have a good conversation with someone. Then, if it's less about like this person has this kind of behavior, which you can find on Reddit, but you might say like, I want founders of C plus companies. They're generally all on LinkedIn and Twitter. LinkedIn is a fucking gold mine. LinkedIn is just so perfect for finding people. So I would just go to LinkedIn. I'd be like, people, who are the founders and CEO as their role title of companies of a certain size in these regions. And then you just have like a huge list. And then I'll just be like, click on UV's profile, learn a little bit more about him. He seems like the right fit. Custom message. Next person, message. Next person, message. And just fucking go out nonstop. And you don't actually need to have a ton of success with this, because once you have one or two conversations, you say, I'm really looking to speak to more people in this space. Like, is there anyone you could recommend me to? And a lot of those people will make recommendations, unless you're a fuckwit, right? But like, if you're like nice and engaging and you're just trying to genuinely learn, you're not shoving sales down their throat, people will make introductions for you. And like my company Vigo, we're looking to go to the US right now. We've tapped as much of our network as we have. We've gone to those people, and now a lot of those people are making more introductions for us and more introductions for us. We're doing cold outreach at the same time, but like a lot of the introductions we have are also coming through warm. So yeah, I think, find the platform that makes sense, do a bunch of DM outreach, and then ask for introductions to follow on that trend.
Yeah, and it all boils down to, as Joel said, like all boils down to talking to people and just caring. Like you'll be so surprised. And I'm not to say that, I have had like super success with this, and I'm just saying like I've noticed the difference in the response I get when it's like an automated response and something that you've handcrafted and taken 3 more minutes, 5 more minutes to do so. It's significant. As Joel mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, I found his link, hopped on a call with him. He kind of had no idea what was going on, like what this call was going to be about. And I had 15 minutes. That's how long his bookings were. And I had a custom demo ready with his app on our platform. And he was like, let me connect you to my head of product. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I could have shown him a different app like on the platform. I couldn't have, I maybe like I couldn't didn't have to show him a demo, but I wanted to show him a custom demo with his app on our platform. That just hits different, you know, like just genuinely like shows that wow, this person went out his way to really get my attention, to demo to me my app on his platform. Let me give him the time of day. And I'm telling you that affects people so much more than you think. Just ask yourself, like, how would I feel if someone really went out that way? Someone I didn't know at all, that's in a different continent, went out that way and just kind of introduced themselves like this and show that they care like this. Like, I would be personally very open to helping them in any way I could. So,
Yeah, dude. When someone puts the work in, it always makes you feel good. Like it makes you feel special. And like I think going to the level UV did, like I love that shit. Like that's the kind of shit I love doing. So when someone does it to me, I'm just like, oh damn, like this is awesome. But you don't even need to go to that level. Like literally just like a customized message. Like you say, hey UV, and even that right is better than saying hey Yuvan, right? Like if you instead of a full name, if you find out like how they reference themselves, right, in conversations, that makes a difference. And then you say like, I saw this thing that you did, or I saw that post that you made, right? Like take a second, right, on these. You're not always going to have it, okay, but often you do. Often you can find a little bit of information. You can find some kind of commonality. Like, oh, I saw you were part of this college. Like I went there too, or I saw you used to do this sport. Like I've always thought about getting into it.
yeah,
Or if there's nothing, just fucking go cold. Like then it's just a volume game. But it's all about increasing your odds.
but yeah, you'd be surprised how much you have in common with the person you're trying to reach out to. Whether it could be something like sport, like that you see in his high school experience, and you're like,
Yeah.
wait, I used to play soccer too. Like it's anything to make that connection. And it's, as Joel said, it's a numbers game, but also it's the idea that you don't know what people know. Like, I could, for example, I've had some calls where it's with some guy that says he's working on a side project and doesn't have the cash. But he, at the end of the call, like we got him set up for like a trial where it's like, we know you told us that you can't pay, but that's okay. We still want to help here. So we'll do a trial for you. That's the most we can do. Otherwise we'll be losing money on you. He understands, but he's like, let me connect you to my friend at this bigger company who runs all product there. And it's like, I could have easily told this guy, like, hey, I'm sorry, you said you can't afford it. Like, we're kind of moving fast. I could have easily said that, but now taking that call has introduced us to a bigger fish. So what I'm saying is, like, you don't know what people know. You don't know who people know. Give people the time of day and be personable. Just don't be weird and shit. Like, just have a great conversation. Go into the call,
Yeah.
not expecting anything. Go into the call, just trying to meet people, man. Like, it's not that deep. It's never that deep.
I would also say like I think we've done a good job of that first step. I think one step that people often forget about is like how you can capitalize on the conversation too. So
Mm-hmm.
this guy that I've kind of like briefly met, he wants to sell a product into universities, and then he's just like, oh shit, you sell into universities. So he sent me an email saying, hey, can I ask you about selling into universities? So he's come to me. He asked me a bunch of questions, and he started asking me like, you know, how do you find these people? And then I started saying, this is the cold outreach campaign to do. These are the conferences we go to. Here's the kind of like LinkedIn approach we use. And like, I just gave all of this, like, 10 years of hard work knowledge to find these people to him. And I'm like super happy to give that to him. Right. Like, so either ask the people, like, where do you hang out? Right. Like, are there professional associations for you? Are there conferences that you go to? Or find people that sell to the same people. Right. Like, if you see something that like, wants to do mental health in chatbots and LLMs and stuff like that, find other companies doing that and say like, where are these users? Where are you finding them? Like generally people are pretty happy to kind of like share that information as well. So like ask those follow-on questions and find out, because you can pretty quickly stop having to just do cold outreach. You can complement that with amazing shit like conferences where you've got like 1,000 of these people in one room in one day.
Yeah. Like, it's not, don't be afraid to approach, like, don't think you're stepping on their toes by asking them, like, oh, where do you find your customers, everything. Like, I can see why that's a concern. I can see why people hesitate, but I mean, you got to get it done. Like, you
Yeah.
got to go. I mean, what options do you have? You got to get it done. Like, that's it.
All right. Well, you've been advised. So let's move on. Last section, which is plugs. So Yuvi, what do you want to plug, man? Autosana, anything else? Any
Yeah.
articles you've read recently?
um, I didn't really come with a plug kind of thing, but I will say yes. So we're building Autosana, a mobile QA agent, basically taking natural language and turning into end-to-end tests to fully eradicate like the whole manual QA process, or even writing end-to-end tests scripts. So our whole thing is like you upload your app in natural language, you say, hey, I want to test X, Y, and Z, and our agent takes care of it and lets you know if there's any bugs on every single release, like all working in the background, and just lets you know when things are wrong and lets you know when things are right too. Like you can configure all of that. But so if you have an app that really struggling on the testing side of things, or like it's a very manual process, feel free to reach out. And then my Instagram page is at uv.builds. I just give a bunch of like startup advice there, and been lacking a bit, but ever since starting Autosana. But yeah, give a bunch of advice, and definitely will be giving a lot more advice going into YC and things like that.
Love it, man. My only plug is do some cold outreach this week for whatever reason. Just fucking do it. Send a few messages on LinkedIn. And that's it. Yuvi, mate. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I love the conversation.
Of course. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me, Joel. Like, this was a great conversation, and look forward to many more.
Well, this has been another episode of the Do As I Say podcast. We'll see you all next week.